Okay, so today is 5:30, the end of the month. For those of you who are doing the VXX trading tools, after the close tomorrow, we should be sending out the monthly email showing how the VXX trading tools are doing. Let's see. Let me go ahead and start by sharing my desktop. Hopefully now you can all see my program, OptionVue program. I have it up. Looks like the markets are up slightly today. If I select one and go to the price chart, like the SPX, you can see we've, as everyone knows, since last November we've been in a pretty strong uptrend, a couple of small breaks. And right now it's getting a little, been a little crazy the last week or so. And you can see by superimposing the volatility chart right here, the blue line is the implied volatility. The red line is the actual volatility. You can see implied volatility has increased quite a bit. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with our VXX trading tools, I'll show you. I do have this section of my quotes display that's set up for looking at all the VXX trading tools. It's based on the VIX, the volatility of the S&P 500. And there are two ETFs, the VXX and XIV. And right now, for almost a year, there's only been one signal. Get this price chart. Back in April, the signal was to go long the this XIV. It's the inverse of the VXX. So basically, you're betting that volatility will go down. Now I can, in these moving average indicators, there is a VIX diff. Let me just find it. The fair value lines. See if I can get this to work. Oh. No, I didn't do it right. Lens volatility. Oh, I shouldn't have just gone into this without looking at it first. Maybe I am off by one letter. There. So this is the zero line, and here's the VIX diff. As long as it remains above the zero line, you should be long this XIV. And you can see that by looking back in April, it was at about $10. And right now it's at about 24. So if you bought, for each share you bought at $10, you'd be up about 150% in a year. So let me go in. I'm in the quotes display. There was a couple things I wanted to mention about the quotes display. I did talk about it a little last time, but one thing is you have these different groups that you can set up on the quotes display. And when you're in a group, like I have this group of stocks that I follow, I have them in alphabetical order. It's kind of hidden, but you can sort by most of these columns. So for example, in this group header bar, if I want to sort everything in this group, I would just go right above it, so I'm pointing within the bar, and right-click. And it will sort everything in this group by that column, in this case, the percent change column. So this is a quick way where I can see that the stocks that I'm following, which ones moved up the most today, and of course, which ones dropped the most today. And so you could do it by a number of things that actual dollar change, which one's up the most dollars. You can also look at which one's traded the most. See, most of them you'd expect: Bank of America, Sprint, Facebook, Microsoft, Citigroup, General Electric. Now, one interesting thing is there are two columns that you can put in, and one is the off extreme. The off extreme tells you how many pennies or dollars, dollar amount, that it's off since it last hit a high or low. And it's not the high or low of the day, but let's say it's moved up, that maybe like this one, Bank of America. Maybe it moved up a little bit, and then it dropped down to, say, 1350. And then it starts moving up again to 1360. It would show the last extreme was 1350, you're up 10 cents, and it happened how many minutes ago? 28 minutes ago. So in this case, it hit an extreme at 1373, 10 cents less, 28 minutes ago. Now the market's closed, so it's not going to be changing anymore. But the interesting thing is you can actually sort by this column, and it can show you which ones are down. And in this case, it shows down from the smallest down difference up to the largest down difference, and then starts going from the largest up difference down to the smallest up or zero. This is especially interesting when you're watching a big group of stocks like this. I had just added this so it wasn't collecting data through the day. Otherwise, all those time off extreme, time X, would be shown. To add a column, to add something like this, you just select the column you want to add something in front of, and just hit the insert key on your keyboard. It will put a blank column. To delete one, you just hit the delete key. And then once you have this blank column, you can right-click and choose any of the available things, including price off extreme, time off extreme. And you can also sort by, you have to be again in the group header bar, this time off extreme. This is especially interesting to watch because lots of times when you're watching a big group of stocks and the market's changing, like maybe it's been dropping and now it's kind of turning around and starting to move up again, you'll suddenly see a lot of these going to like 0 plus a penny, 2 plus 2 pennies, and this time off extreme is all of a sudden resets to 0. And you'll see that all of a sudden a whole bunch of different stocks are all at the same time switching directions, moving up or down. One other column that's kind of interesting is the DVO, which is the dollar volume of options traded. So if I sort by that, it shows me what are the most active options. And of course, Apple is number 1. You see Google up here, Tesla Motors, Johnson & Johnson, JP Morgan. Now, these ones are showing like a K, which stands for thousands. And this is in thousands. So in other words, this 8490 is 8,490,000. So this is 10 million, 11 million, 12 million, 13 million, 46 million for Apple in options traded today. You can always also see that if you look at the Volti chart. Now when you open a Volti chart on its own, it opens as a weekly chart. If you wanted to see daily, you'd have to switch it to daily. But up here in the top, it always shows the DVO, the average dollar volume options traded, which is 46,330,000 per day. Oh, in fact, while I have this Volti chart up, I'll mention there is one other thing, and it's been in the program a long time, but now it's a little more hidden, is when you're looking at the volatility chart. One interesting thing is down here in the bottom corner, there's a V button. If you click this V button, it will choose somewhere within this chart, wherever there's the biggest open space, and it will give you a little table that shows you an average of the 3-week, 6-week, 10-week, 1.5 year, 3 year, 4.5 year, and 6 years of volatility. And so you can almost here look at the current IV is 26.7. How does that compare to the 25.6? A little higher. So it's a little lower than the 6-week average, lower than the 10, lower than the 1.5 year. It's really lower than all of these. And you can see here that actually at the top next to IV, there's a number in brackets, which is a 9. There's also a number next to the SV. This is the percentile reading. This is telling you the current reading of SV or IV. That SV is at the 20 percentile. That means that 20% of all the readings in this chart, it uses the history of the chart to calculate the percentage. So if you have a 6-year chart, you'll get a little different number than if you're using a 10-year chart. 20% of the readings are lower than the current reading. In other words, 80% are higher. So Apple has not been as volatile as it has been in the past. And the IV of 9 is very low. It's telling you the implied volatility, 9% of the readings are lower than the current reading. But that means 81% are higher. So it's actually near its all-time low. If we went to a weekly chart to see a bigger history, you can see we're right here. And if you just drew a line across, which of course, if we added a price chart, we could do with this trend line tool. You can almost just take this and draw a line, horizontal line across, and you can see how most of the readings are above that line as you go back in history. I'd have to go back even farther, of course, but because I have back to 1999. I have 14 years of history. All right, so let me just quickly check if I have any questions here. I see I don't have any questions, so let's keep going. So here in this quotes display, there are a lot of things you can do for tracking things. And of course, lots of times you need to add things. When you need to add things, you may want to add it as a different group. And you can say, if you enter in the first blank line the pound sign, and then just type in whatever you want to call it. I just called it whatever. So now I have a new group that's blank called whatever. Now, of course, I can just type a symbol in a blank line and it'll start adding things. I can go up to this edit lookup and actually look up a name or a symbol. Let's see, I'll look up Elon. Now, if I hit the insert button, it will just simply insert it wherever I've highlighted on the quotes display. And I was in that group. So here's where I'm highlighted. It's going to add the next one right there. So if I chose this one, hit insert. Or, especially if you're going to do a group of them, if I highlighted this first one, hold down the shift key and click on this one, it highlights this whole group. I could insert this whole group, or you can right click and you can choose to add it to any group on your quotes display. So in this case, I'll just keep adding it to whatever. So you can see it added it in there. I got some blank lines here. All I have to do is if I right click on the symbol, it would sort them. And there's other ways to add here that aren't quite so obvious. One thing is that sometimes you might get a list of symbols. And so I created a very small symbol list of about 30 stacks in Excel. So here I just happen to have an Excel spreadsheet or some kind of table, and I can, again, highlight the first one, hold down the Shift key so that they're all highlighted, and then all I have to do is right-click and choose Copy. Or, of course, I can come up here and choose Copy right from the bar. So now I'm holding these in Windows on the clipboard. Then all I have to do is come back in OptionVue, select where I want to add them in, and go up to Edit. And under here, the last choice is Paste Symbols. When I do that, it's going to put in those 30 stacks that I had there. And it does not have to be quite so nice looking. I use a lot of websites, of course, like I'm sure everyone does when they're, let's see what I got. Like here's a list I was looking at the other day. It was, it's an old list from January, but it's the 20 most recommended industrial dividend stocks. And you notice that here, this is on Seeking Alpha. It's one of the websites I like to look at. They have a lot of good research on here. And you see it's just an article, and it does have lists of stocks, including right up here. It tells you here's every symbol that's referred to in this article. I can actually come up here, highlight them, hold down the left mouse button, highlight them, and then right-click and choose Copy. And I can come in here and go Edit, Paste Symbols. It does add a couple blank lines, but I got them all. I could just go and delete those blank lines now, or again, just come up and sort. So you notice I've been right-clicking and sorting this by symbol. You can also do it by name, which is pretty similar. But now let me delete this. So now it becomes part of this bigger group I had. Now, one thing is I can simply come up here again, and now I'll sort this whole group, big group, by symbol. But you'll notice by pasting in symbols, I got some duplicates. I have Apple on here twice. So that's what this A is for at the end. At the end of every group header bar, you'll see there's a little A. And when you just left-click on that A, it sorts that group alphabetically by symbol. But the difference between doing that and right-clicking on here is the A also removes any duplicates in this group. So now I got this whole group all set up and ready to go. Let's see where I'm at 20 minutes and still no questions, so just keep going. Everyone must know the program really well. So now I've been showing you a couple tricks in the quotes display, and I'll kind of keep using the quotes display, but let's look at a couple of ways that you can look for, let's say, trading ideas. And one of them is up here. Actually, before I leave the quotes display, I want to mention one other thing. If I click in the quotes display and I use my scroll wheel, it kind of depends on what Windows and your computer, but for example, when I'm at home, the scroll wheel just always works. But here on my office computer, for some reason, it doesn't just automatically engage. What I have to do is actually take that scroll button, and if I click down on it, you can actually press that scroll button down and it will click, and then it begins working in this quotes display. So it's kind of dependent on your computer, but if your scroll bar does not work on the quotes display, try pressing down on the scroll wheel so it clicks, and then try scrolling, and it'll probably start working. So I would mention that because that's a little tricky thing with Windows, really. So let me go up. I was going to unfortunately, I got this weird little box that keeps covering right where I want to be, saying that I'm speaking, which I already know I'm speaking, so I don't know why it's got to keep popping up there. Now up here to the left of this green ball is a number of icons. This green ball itself, if you left click on it, it kind of shows the quotes reception settings and things. So you can show your continuous data source, and of course we also have our broker quotes with IB, or if you're just using none. If you're using QuoteVue, it will show with check marks what exchanges you're subscribed to. There's nothing you can change with this. You can't click on these. It's simply showing you with a check mark what you have. It will also show you what net view. We have 12 servers that deliver all our quotes and information. And I can see I'm on NetView 1. It also shows it up here, NetView 1, with a number next to it showing how many symbols that I'm currently using. The QuoteVue 1000 comes with 1,000 symbols at a time. The QuoteVue 2000 comes with 2,000 symbols at a time. That comes into play most when you're looking at very large matrices with a lot of options like Apple, Google, SPY, SPX, and you're looking at all the available options, including weeklies, the regular options, quarterlies, leaps. Well, let me just take a look at like Apple. See what I have it set up. I don't have it with weeklies right now, but I'll add weeklies and quarterlies. See what comes up. And right now, I only have between 555 and 360. And I have all the way out. And I'm using, when I open this, I'm at 1101. I close it 267. So the difference is 834. So just opening Apple takes 834 symbols. Now you can see, if I had to QuoteVue 1000 right now, the last 101 things would just be blank. Everything else would keep coming in and be updated, but these farther out options that were the last ones I asked for, they would be just blank, and we would not get quotes on those. Now I have the QuoteVue 2000, so I'm not hitting that problem. If you did hit it, it would be showing 1,000 in red, showing that you've hit your limit. The other thing you can do with this green ball is if you double click on it, it will suspend your quotes. So right now nothing is being updated. It'll show that with an S in there. When I left click on this ball, you'll see at the bottom it tells me in red, quote reception suspended. I can activate it by here and you'll see the S goes away. But it's easier to turn it on and off just by double clicking on it. So if you see an S here and you're not getting quotes, that's why. You might ask, why would you want to do that? Sometimes the markets are moving real fast and you want to do analyze a couple things and kind of make sure that they're you're comparing apples and apples, and just stop it for a second, analyze both trades, and then start it up again. But here to the left is a few icons, and this one is the Yates break search. If I click on it, this is an algorithm that Len designed that will that uses the algorithm that he designed, a personal algorithm that looks for patterns that he's found presage a breakdown in the price. So you can also search just for uptrend line breaks. It'll draw a trend line automatically and look for something that's breaking through that trend line. That's what I have it checked for to do right now. And I let go and let it run through all my charts. Now the important thing to realize about this Yates break search is it only runs on price charts that you have on your computer. So everything that I have set up here, all my stocks, indexes, futures, I have gone up and I have updated my price charts. If you go to NetView Update Price Chart Files and hit All Files, it will run through everything I've set up and make sure that they're up to date. That is very important to do a NetView Update Price Chart Files before running the Yates Break Search. You want to make sure that you have the latest data. If you haven't updated your price charts and you try running the Yates Break Search, it will tell you your price charts need updating. So you can see it didn't actually find any uptrend line breaks right now. Probably not a lot of stocks breaking down on what was mostly an up day today. So let's go and use Len's original search algorithm and see what it comes up with. Came up with two. Cleveland Biolabs and ENI's SPA. It's an ADR, must be European. Now, anytime you have a list anywhere here in the program, whether it's in the Yates Break Search, on the quotes display, on the survey, OpScan, status, you can select the first one in the list and open it up. So, for example, I could look at the matrix. This is only $1 stock, $1.57. And let me look at the price chart. Let me just make them this size. So you can see it did have a little bit of a breakdown today, and this algorithm saying this type of formation tends to lead to the stock going down in the future. So it's down about 4 cents today. Now I'm in this list. All I have to do is use this browse feature to use the next. It will go to the next one in the list. And you'll notice that any open windows that attach, the matrix and the price chart switch to this. At least this is like a $46 stock. But you can see, wow, it already had quite a breakdown, popped up. This is definitely the kind of one that you'd want to go and check out the news and stuff. Doesn't trade a lot of options. You can see the DVO is 7,000 per day. Let's go back to CBLI. That trades on average 1,000 in options a day, almost none. So let me close this and let's look at the volume. And it looks like today, at least on these two strikes here, there was no volume. Let's go to this one and look at volume. At least here was a few contracts traded throughout. Not a lot, but some. Now, if I did want to see this, I would, let me just add it to the end of this. I could actually add both of them to my quotes display, and by selecting them, I can right-click, and as I showed before, you can select any existing group that you have set up. But the last one is always a new one. It's add the quotes display break search results. And when I choose that, it created a new group for me called break search results. So now I have them right here. And the first thing I would do before I consider doing anything with these, especially this one, this ENI, is go look at the news. And so that's another thing. Right on the quotes display, you can add a column for news. It has a little hyperlink for news, and you can change this. It has to be in the right format. Oh, let me see if I can find where is my news? Oh, here. Right here is a button, News Site. If you click this button, it tells the URL. And all these URLs like I'm using Yahoo Finance, has the same URL with a symbol, and that symbol is where it puts whatever symbol that you're looking at, in this case E. If you wanted to use a different one, you'll see it opened it right to Yahoo Finance, and right to the stock, ENISPAE. Start looking at some of the news to see what might have been causing all this stuff going up and down. That's the first thing I would do. Now, if you're going to use a different thing, let's say, let's see, thestreet.com. Oh. I'm not tried setting this up, but it should be pretty easy. When I go in here to look for a quote, I'll just put the same E, look for a quote on E. Up here, it gives me E.html, original header. Let me look at what that looks like compared to this. Equals symbol. Not sure about that one. You might have to play with it a little bit. Let me try MSN Finance to see if it's a little easier. Although I personally like Yahoo Finance. Here. I guess you just use this, you would copy this and try to use that symbol where it says symbol here, where it says equals. Everything before the equal sign. So let's see what happens when I change it. See, I don't want two equal signs. Okay, now I'll try hitting it again. Can't start my internet browser. Oh, that's not good. Well, if you have questions about it, you can always get to me. I'll help you get it working. It's not that hard, I know. I've switched it before. I go up and I'll just mention with the shape break search, there is one other choice, which is once you've looked for these original search algorithm stacks, which we only got 2, you can then also check this. And then it's restricting it only to topping stocks. So basically stocks that are hitting near their high and they're showing up on this list. And when it comes up with nothing, because those 2 that showed up, neither of them were topping at the time. So that's one place to look for trade. Another one that is, of course, a popular thing is earnings plays. And the next one is earnings. This is an earnings search, and it uses a site called earnings.com. It's going to run through and their site and find whatever you've chosen here, list of companies announcing the next business day, or also you can look for ones the next business day after that. So in other words, the next 2 days. And all I have to do is hit go. It's going to go out to that site, and you'll see it finds quite a few. There's 54 stocks that are going to report earnings in the next 2 days. It shows the date. Some of them it will show more information, like this one's 31st of May, after market close, before market close, after market close. Now, out of these 54, one thing is if you're interested in trading options on them, all you have to do is click this check mark, and it's going to highlight every one of them that has options. And it'll tell you 13. So out of those 54 stocks announcing earnings in the next 2 days, there's only 13 that trade options. So now, even though they're all highlighted and they're separated, all I have to do is go to a highlighted area and right-click. And again, I can add it to my quotes display. In this case, add the quotes display, I could create a new group, earn search results. And now here's all 13. And here's Graham Corp right here. No relation to me. Now as you go through, again, you can just choose the first in the list and start going through. What often happens, of course, with earnings plays, with earnings about to come out, is the front month options might get more pumped up than the farther out options. So you can see here the 35 call, it's at 49.2 versus 39, almost 10% higher in the front month. Let's keep going down using this browse feature. This one, it's only $1 stock, I'm not going to look at it. $73, it's a little higher. You know, most of these don't have any weeklies or anything. It's 23 days to these front months, where you can really see the big differential sometimes is they have weeklies or there's only a week left in the front month. So you can see this is, what, 28.45 versus 38, about 7%. About 7% differential. Most of these are not big movers. People are not expecting huge moves. This one's hardly any difference at all. But you can just scan through these. Now, one thing is on this window, you can also do things like exclude snacks priced less than $10. See, now I only have 11. Took out 2 of them that are under $10, including that $1.50 stock that I looked at. And I can also make sure that they trade a reasonable amount of options. I tend to use about 50,000, that's in thousands. And you notice that go from 11 to 6. So really there's only 6 that are real. Let me just delete all these out. That are trading a reasonable amount of options. So now if I add these there, I have these 6. This would be a better group to look at to see for potential trading opportunities. Let's see what I got. Which one looks the biggest? This is about 10%. So you can see the idea is sell this one and buy this one, but I'll leave that up to Steve Lentz in his weekly market huddles. He talks a lot, of course, about earnings, how to create different calendars or other trades that take advantage of these earning plays. That's a big part of his every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And, of course, if you haven't seen his market huddle, it's part of Discover Options, which is our, let's go there, discoveroptions.com, which is our education. We have personal mentoring classes, and every Monday at 1 o'clock, one of the mentors, we have 5 mentors, gives a talk that's more focused on trading and trading concepts. And for some reason my browser is not working very well, but at least OptionVue is working. Actually, Splunk is one that I've noticed in the past. It's been a pretty good earnings play in the past. I've been pretty bullish on it. You can see it's had quite a move up from like 26 to 44. I've looked into them before. They have a pretty decent business model. I don't even remember what it is now. It's been several months. But there's some kind of computer, like file type sharing company or something. Let's see. Let me go to my chat and see what questions it is. Oh, here. Daryl asked, how did he change the price of a previously taken trade a few days after the trade was made for analysis? I assume that what he's saying is that he's converted in, I'll go into a test account I have here and do a convert trade. I'll just convert this trade in. Let's see, let me make sure. Convert trade. Notice it disappeared because it became an existing position. And I'll even, you can always temporarily change your format just by right-clicking on any column and choosing one of the parameters. And so here's the original price it gave me, $250 and $295. And I can analyze this. Now, what if that's not the right price? Maybe I really got this at, I go into T-log and say I really got this one at $2 and this one at $2.50. If I change that in the T-log, you'll see, well, now it's showing I have a gain loss of $450. I'm sorry, current value of $450, gain loss, I'm losing $110 from the current value. If I analyze it, it's going to analyze it based on that original price. So I'm showing this one, I bought it too, it's worth, what, $240, $250. And this one I bought at $250 and it's worth $3. Now, if I was way different, maybe I got lucky, I sold this really low at $1.50. You can see I have in this case I did really bad. I sold it at $1.50 and it's worth $2.50. I'd have to buy it back for $2.50. I'm down $610. I can analyze this, see how far down I am here. But one thing I can do is, even if I've had this trade on a long time, if I want to ignore the prices I bought it at and just analyze it, what if I just placed it today? What if I were to place the same trade today? All I have to do is hold down the control key and hit M for market price. And you notice it will bring in the market price for the original price. When I analyze it, you'll see I don't have that loss. I'm going to get rid of my commissions because that's making it show a little bit of a loss right there. So if you ever want to look at a trade that you've done before, but you just want to see what it looks like from today forward as opposed to using the actual original prices from the transaction log, you just hit Control M. You'll notice this is at $1.50. Hit Control M, it brings it to $2.50, the current market. Hopefully that answered Daryl's question. And where else do we have to look for trades? We have our OpScan service. The OpScan service is it's an extra charge. It's $49 a month or $4.99 a year. It lets you go out and scan the market for trading opportunities. We have some built-in formulas here. And one of them is looking for unusual call activity. I run that one kind of often, so let me hit go. I've chosen only that one, and I'll hit go, and it'll run. Let's see if there's any unusual call activity today. Actually, quite a few, about 10 of them. What this particular formula looks for is, first, very liquid things, that only things that trade at least $250,000 per options today. And also that today's dollar volume of options is at least 5 times greater than the previous average of the last 5 days. So it traded a lot of options today, and it traded a lot more than it usually does. So even if it's very active, like an Apple, it's not going to show up on there because today's volume, while it's large, it's not unusual compared to the average. And then it's looking that the call dollar volume is at least 3 times the put dollar volume. And the final thing is it's looking for an increase of an IV today of at least 10% over the average of the last 20 days. You can look at something, one's Clearwire. Every time you get any of these, you should look up the news. If you're familiar with Clearwire, I think it's Dish has a takeover offer on them, so I wouldn't touch that one right now. China Mobile, T-Mobile, CareFusion. One thing you can do is you can actually open the matrix and start going through and look at the volume today. Where is it at? Now I see 1,500 contracts. The biggest trade is kind of in the money here. It could be someone, the whole idea is maybe someone knows something that's not general knowledge yet. So they're going out and buying options based on news that's not been widely disseminated, and the idea is that you would jump on the bandwagon. That could be potentially someone looking at taking advantage of it. If you look at what the traded price was, 380. I don't know. If you bought a lot of contracts here, like 1,500, that's what it would look like. It's kind of far in the money, so it's basically almost like buying the stock. Not quite as expensive, of course, because these are only trading at $3, but let's go look at the next one. And I'll keep looking at volume. I see there's 1,500 out here, too. In January, usually you'd want to see a lot of volume right up around the money, just out of the money, and in the front months. That's where people would typically buy to, they expected this to go up a lot. Something like this, you know, like a lot of right here and just out of the money. But I see again here farther out, here's a big trade right there. Here's a big trade right at the money here in June on HMY, Harmony Gold Mining. Oh yeah, I was looking at that chart earlier today. I don't know how bullish I would be on that thing. I don't know. It's been pretty straight downward ride this past year. So OpScan is another service. See, I'm getting near the end. And the last one I wanted to point out is Survey. Survey lets you run and scan for things based on volatility and liquidity. So if I want to look at something like IV is very high compared to the SV or thing, and I'm running on indexes, but I'll hit stocks. I'm not going to look at the T-bills, but let's look at the next one. You can see what's looking for is a big differential between IV and SV. Now, a lot of these don't have a lot of IV information. This one looks like it's going crazy. Oh, it looks like a buyout, that's why, because all the price chart, you can see it's locked in at a range here. So we must be buying them out. Again, that looked like another buyout. Another buyout. Another buyout. I don't know for certain that those are all buyouts, but that's a typical pattern on the price chart that you see. Is it gets locked in the price range because someone's got that price bid on the stock to buy the whole company. Here's one that's not. That's a Nikkei 225. So those are two that I definitely, they're each worth their own hour of OptionVue Essentials, OpScan, and Survey, and I'll definitely be putting one together for each of those to show you really how to use it to find a trade, and then how how to construct a trade to take advantage of each of the different potential situations that you're looking for. I think that's about how far I wanted to get today. Let me take a look and see if I have any questions here. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in. Don't see any. Let's see if I can get to our website. OptionVue. In OptionVue, we always have our webinar schedule right here for the week coming up. We'll be changing it tomorrow for the next week. And then there's links right here, which you click on and you can go to register. This one's going to be, you can see it's already started because we're in it right now. You can always go here. And then there is the full calendar of upcoming events that you can look at. It shows each day what's going to be for the next couple of months. It's coming up in, let's see, June. You can see not only do we have every Thursday our OptionVue Essentials, but every Monday is the Deal Mentor Series I mentioned. Coming up June 19th, Steve Lentz is going to be at the CBOE. And we have a new one that I have to put on here, which I believe is June 29th, is a live event in Los Angeles. So if you live in the Los Angeles area, Van Nuys is where it's being held. And you have to give Karen Ray a call here. I thought my voice would get a little better, but it hasn't. Let's see. And finally, you can view the archive recordings that we've recorded here. And here's all of our recordings. And it's got some featured ones that it cycles through. But you could look at only the OptionVue Essential ones. Or you could look at only the Discover Options Mentor Series, which are all about trading. So each of those are all about an hour. You can see there's a lot of them out there recorded and available for viewing, no charge. There's also some OptionVue how-tos out here. And also, here's our Discover Options website that I mentioned to you with www.discoveroptions.com. And for those who haven't been to the weekly market huddle, we do have a thing here where you can click on it and you can get 2 months of the market huddle free to try it out. In fact, if you haven't been to the website in a while, we also have a series of 3 free classes that you can get given by Steve Lentz about option basics, how to trade options, and cover call writing. So all I have to do is fill it out, and I'll immediately send you a login and password to get in the site, and you can watch that series of classes for free. All right, let's see. Okay, well, thank you very much for attending today. We'll be recording this and we'll be posting it usually within the day. And if you do have any questions, you can always contact us here at OptionVue at our phone number, 847-816-6610, or you can just email me, Jim, at OptionVue.com. So thank you for coming and have a good day. Bye-bye.